My name is Simon Freelove and I've come from Newport today. I was brought up in a Christian home with a loving family, and part of my story is that I had the same-sex attraction from an early age because my sexuality was awakened at a very early age inappropriately. It's a path that I would never want any of my nephews or nieces, or if I had children, to follow, because it has caused me a lot of pain and a lot of heartache. A neighbour who lived near my house asked me if I wanted to go to a stables, which was near the place. And him and a group of other boys started experimenting, but he sort of took the lead and was suggesting things. I would say I was manipulated. I had no sort of sense of sexuality at that time, and I felt terrible with the guilt of it. I felt dirty, and I go to church and I had nobody to talk to. Of course, there's my parents and stuff like that, but it was a time in the 70s and 80s, you didn't talk about stuff like this, and I just felt guilty. And I used to say to myself, I wish I had been abused. For a long time, I've been sort of in and out of this lifestyle and struggling with it. I've embraced it. Later on down the line, I thought, well, this is the path that I'm going to go down. I thought perhaps I am gay, because for most of my life I felt attracted to guys because of that incident. I would have never felt attracted to guys if my sexuality wasn't sort of walking at that age. There's no way I would have been inclined to that. Ultimately, I was going to move to Bristol, and I thought I was going to pursue it even more and just go to the club scene in there. But I just thought to myself one day, do I want this anymore? And I wasn't scared of sort of coming out with this in work about myself. I didn't care what people thought. I just thought, do I want this anymore? I'd become tired of it. I'd become tired of the one-night stands, not being fulfilled inside in my heart. Yes, I enjoyed the sexual encounters and stuff like that, and the thing of being fashionable and gay that comes with that, and the glamour and glitz. I've just become tired inside. I felt dead inside. In September 2012, I had a dream one night. And in the dream, I saw myself in the dream, if I can sort of explain that. And I was talking to a man. And in the dream, I was aware that I was talking to Christ. But he wasn't looking at me. His face was turned like that. And he didn't have a beard. He was dressed in white. There was a white fence behind him, a painted fence, and the grass was green, and it was dark behind him, but I could see him clearly. And the impression I had as I was speaking to him was that he was in disguise, and it was in the middle of the night, and we was talking about my life. And I said, would you forgive me? And he said, yes. And different things which are personal to me. And there's more to it, but when at the end of the dream, I woke up suddenly, upright in the bed, and I was still dreaming, my eyes wide open, and I was still dreaming. And I forgot the dream in its essence. And I knew I'd had a supernatural encounter. And I went to the bathroom, and I thought, I've just had a supernatural encounter, and I don't know what this dream is about. And my brain started rattling, and I thought, yes, this has been in the Bible before. King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he forgot about it. Then the dream came back to me. And the following morning in work, I was cutting away in a block, and it's like as if there's a knife to my heart, as if I'd been cut open. God had struck me in the heart. And it was about a month later, I was carrying on doing the things that I do, going on gaydar and hooking up with guys and stuff like that. But I started going back to church. I used to go in and out to Maldwyn Holland's Church in Abundant Life, and in and out and going late in the meetings. But I started going to the meetings. And about a month later, on a Thursday night meeting, I broke down at the end of the meeting. I took a Bible with me and read about the immoral man in Corinthians. And I thought, this is me. And I just burst out. I let it all up because I was quite icy and cold. Many people didn't want to bother me with it when I went in the church because my eyes were icy. I'd hardened my heart to people, and I broke down that night, and I called out to Christ, and he led me. I said, "Oh Lord Jesus, come back." He said, "No." He said, "Once you've been saved already," which I got saved at an earlier age, he led me in a prayer of repentance, and I renounced my sin. That night I went home and I bagged up a lot of videos and stuff, and my journey started there. I totally left the LGBT lifestyle, though by that time I had grown tired of the gay scene, and I just used to meet guys on gaydar. I deleted my gaydar account and people as I knew on Facebook, and I hated doing it, but I knew I had to be radical because it was very much a draw to me being tempted, and I struggled intensely. Severe, constantly. It was constantly on my mind. Anything could trigger it off, and all of a sudden it would just lift, and I was aware that people were praying for me. Having a church home for me means ever so much to me. It's my family. It's my spiritual family. They're my brothers. They're my comrades. There's times that I do struggle a lot. There's other times I have absolute peace. What I can say is when I was on the gay scene, doing what I was doing, hooking up with guys, the clubs, the drinking, the drugs, everything else, I felt myself getting worse and worse and worse, and depression and heavier. Now I can feel the peace of God. I'm just feeling better and better and better. What it would mean for me if I couldn't have help coming out of homosexuality, it would be horrendous. I would feel intense frustration. I would just struggle personally. I'm quite a strong person in many ways, but it's support, it's friendship, it's fellowship. It'd be devastating for the LGBT community. In those terms that people are more accepting, so they don't get bullied and harassed and stuff like that. It can be good in those terms, and I can sort of understand that, because when I was out in work as a gay man, I got the comments and that, and one particular time in the street I got knocked out cold. I was on my own as 3 guys and I got punched out in the face. So I can understand that. But in terms of the bad, I think it can cause confusion, especially at the younger age. People can be easily led, impressionable. Like you cannot say in any sort of terms that people are not influenced by environmental factors, the television, the internet. All too often, social factors and environmental factors are grossly played down. What do I think about the government wanting to ban help for people who suffer with same-sex attraction? I think that's awful. I don't think they should be doing that. If people want help and want to come out of unwanted same-sex attractions, they should be free to pursue that. Even as they promote that people should be free to pursue same-sex attraction. It cuts both ways. It's rather a one-sided view. It cuts the cloth both ways. It cuts both ways. What I would say to Boris Johnson is, I don't think that you should go ahead with it. When we look at our problems, when we look at how we feel, or our circumstances, we can sometimes go into despair. If we focus on the wrong thing, you know, perhaps our focus was wrong. You know, as many times I've had to just focus on Christ, not focus on being straight or leaving the feelings. It's just focus on God himself. I would sort of totally disagree that it is harmful, because my pastor, who I've often gone to for advice, have never focused on me being sort of ex-gay or coming out of that. He's not focused on that. He is focused on discipling me. He is sort of not really sort of talked about it overly much. He said, I don't know, I want to know what you've done. He said, if you're struggling with lust, it's the same with me. You know, I've had to sort of deal with the temptation of lust and etc. Why I think they paint in that picture is because they have their own agenda, and I think they're getting very arrogant. The LGBT community prides itself on diversity. It prides itself on accepting everybody. But however, the experience, from what I have experienced, is far from that. If you're not a good-looking guy, if you're fat and overweight, if you look a certain way, they reject you. It isn't all accepting, and gay is not all happy, clappy, and all of that. I've seen many guys go through intense heartache. There's many guys who I have known who have said to me, you know, we know this is wrong, really. You know, without being told from a pastor or from a religious organisation. There was one guy I was speaking to in particular, one guy comes to mind in Swansea. He said, Simon, if anyone ever tells you that they love you, don't believe them. He was talking about sort of a gay relationship. He said, don't believe it. It's all just a bit of fun. What he meant by that was, it's just sexual gratification. Now, in today's society, in the gay scene, there has been more of a focus on relationships with civil partnerships, gay marriages, and etc. But I can say unequivocally that I have never known gay men in relationships to be monogamous all their life. There's either somebody, it's open relationship. There's always the promiscuous side. Some guys are more promiscuous than others. Some will have a life partner for many years. But for a whole lifetime, no. Absolutely not. I'm not saying it's not impossible that some guys will be together, but I think it is a minority. The very thing of the gay scene itself is very promiscuous and sexed up and orientated to that way. You made a point about guys or gay men being looked down on. There may be, I think there is a truth in that to a certain degree, you know, from society. But to be honest with you, I would say, you know, society has changed dramatically, and it's getting to a place of being a free-for-all. To be honest with you, I think many people don't care at all. In fact, I think many people are getting to the point they're getting fed up of minority groups ramming things down their throats and in their faces. You know, I think society is getting fed up with having it put in their face. Would I say that's cruelty? No. Absolutely not. True love is not just a feeling. It's sacrificial. It's in the heart. It's deep. It goes down deep in the crevices of your spirit, in your soul. I would say there's a wrong sort of perception on what love is. There's no person on this earth that can love you as much as God, that deep. There's only the love of God, the love of Christ, who can satisfy your heart.